In 2012, a team of researchers in Paris set out to test whether a Nobel Prize-winning molecule was toxic. What they found instead became one of the most extraordinary longevity results ever published in a peer-reviewed journal. Lab animals given ESS-60 and olive oil lived 90% longer than the control group, nearly doubled their lifespan. But that wasn't all. The treated animals aged without detectable tumors, and when exposed to a known liver toxin, their tissue remained virtually intact, while the control group's organs were destroyed. 3 breakthroughs from one study. Chris Burres and Patty Greer from C60 Evo, they are back to walk us through the Batai study and their proprietary boss theory on how this molecule works at the cellular level, and brand new biological age testing data that shows results that will blow your mind. Chris and Patty, welcome back to the Next News Network. Let's jump right into this because I know you have some presentations and some slides ready for us. I want to talk about this study, but maybe we should first, you know what, as is tradition here, we should probably, I don't have my my little shot glass today, so I'm just going to have some out of the bottle. This is the MCT oil with coconut, from coconuts with ESS-60.
Cheers. 3 different ways to take it. Out of the bottle,
yeah,
on a spoon, or if you're a lab dude, on a beaker.
MCT, I love it. No, I swish it around when I, in the morning, every morning, as soon as I wake up out of bed, boom. Like you get that morning mouth, that yucky morning mouth. And I used to like run to the bathroom and like, you know, Listerine and brush and everything. I do that later. Now I literally take 2 teaspoons of it, swish it around my mouth, and my mouth feels amazing. It literally feels like brand new. I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but it's like magic. Anyway.
I like that.
Let's talk about the Batai study. We can talk about me later. You got the biomaterials. Originally in a toxicity test, they expected to find ESS-60 was harmful. Instead, they got 3 breakthroughs. So, Chris, walk us through exactly what happened here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got some slides. I mean, first off, let's kind of give a little bit better description. This molecule, so I'm holding up a model of the molecule, it was discovered in 1985. The 3 scientists who discovered it won the Nobel Prize for that discovery in 1996. And then my lab started manufacturing it in 1991. I don't know if that slide can come up.
Oh, yeah, we'll bring it up right now. Sure.
Just like Gary shared, they thought this molecule would be toxic. Okay, so here we are. Discovered in 1985 at Rice University here in Houston. That's where our lab is based. The Nobel Prize was awarded in 1996 to these 3 professors, Dr. Smalley, Dr. Curl, and Dr. Croto. And our lab actually started manufacturing the molecule in 1991, a full 5 years before they were awarded the Nobel Prize.
Wow.
It's not, I'm not a braggadocious person. And it's not unreasonable to suggest that because we were delivering commercial quantities of this material to research institutions around the world, those scientists around the globe were able to figure out that this was a Nobel Prize worthy discovery. And that's ultimately why they won that Nobel Prize. We're going to be talking about the boss theory. So this kind of gives the reference for why what happened in this study could have happened. So the basis of this, by the way, BOSS stands for Buffering Oxidative Stress System. The basis is a couple of things. We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS-60 molecule gets into the mitochondria.
Okay, so what are these 3 things? When I first saw the slide deck you sent me, I'm like, I thought they were like kidneys or something. Explain to me what we're looking at specifically. What are these things?
Yeah, these are a representation of your mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. You may remember that from kind of high school biology.
I failed that class. Sorry.
Every cell in your body has between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria. Except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It is amazing how much energy our nervous system uses relative to our other systems. So in this first slide, you're looking at a healthy mitochondria, just like every energy source that we're familiar with. there is a negative byproduct. You think about your car going down the road, it has exhaust. You think about a power plant, it's got smoke coming out of the smokestack. In the case of mitochondria, it's reactive oxygen species. And I like to picture these, if you left them to their own devices, right? If they're not managed properly, they run around in your body and everything they slam into, like little bumper cars, causes oxidative stress, oxidative damage, and ultimately inflammation. Internal to your healthy mitochondria, you've got glutathione and melatonin to manage those reactive oxygen species. So in a healthy, unstressed mitochondria, you see that here on the left, you see that the reactive oxygen species are bonded with glutathione and melatonin in this nice, healthy blue color in this image. Now, what happens when you stress a mitochondria? First off, how do you stress a mitochondria? I like to point out, if you're alive in modern society, you have stressed mitochondria. Like, if it's EMF exposure, maybe there's smoking, maybe there's drinking, maybe there's, if you go on an airplane flight, there's additional EMF exposure, or too much sunlight, smog, all sorts of things will stress your mitochondria. Tough conversations, tough emails will stress your mitochondria. And when that happens, it starts producing more energy for the cells to use, and also more reactive oxygen species than the internal glutathione and melatonin can manage. And that's when they turn red in this image, and they can even get outside of the mitochondria. And again, if left to their own devices, they're running around smacking into things, causing oxidative stress and oxidative damage.
Okay, so hang on.
Yeah.
You're bringing up the glutathione because I was doing my own research into the product because I've been taking it for months, seeing remarkable results. And I used to actually have a nurse that would come to my house maybe once a month, and they would give me glutathione shots. I mean, I would have an IV drip. They would be like the full vitamin, therapy, like max out everything, right? And then my wife started getting the glutathione in a bottle, and I'm like, okay, well, I know because we've spoken before, and you've mentioned glutathione. I'm like, I need to figure out like how these are working together, and now this slide explains it all, because you have the glutathione there in your body because it is produced naturally, but it's getting totally depleted when you have the stressed mitochondria. So then, okay, so let me see if I'm getting this right. So then when I add the C60 Evo, if I'm going to jump to the third picture here.
Yeah.
It's pulling it all together and keeping it from being out stressed and helping the natural production of the glutathione in a supportive parallel stream. Am I right?
Yeah.
Did I get that?
That is yes, you nailed it. So you just have, your body has, each mitochondria has its ability to produce glutathione and melatonin to manage the reactive oxygen species. They just have a rate limit, right?
Yes.
They can't produce. And once you start stressing the mitochondria beyond what your mitochondria can produce, now that's when you experience that oxidative damage. This is where, another way to picture this ESS60 molecule is kind of like a bucket, right? Hey, I've got these extra reactive oxygen species. Let's throw them in this bucket so they can't run around like little bumper cars. And then finally, when that particular mitochondria replenishes the glutathione and replenishes the melatonin, then those glutathione and melatonin go in and manage those reactive oxygen species. So they take these red oxygen species and they turn them into blue, healthy and managed oxygen species.
Wow.
That's detoxing in its straightest form.
And so we really think about this as reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, right? Remember, mitochondria between 50 and 5,000 every cell in your body, 2 million in your brain. If you're reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, that powerhouse of every cell, you should have systemic benefits. You should have what we have, which are head-to-toe testimonials. And then my next slide.
I'm a living testimonial at this point, because you guys have been with us for months now. You've been sending me the product, and I can testify on the Bible that I feel 100%, 200% amazing. I mean, we did an interview last time. We talked about your migraine study. I hope we maybe get some results from that soon. But my wife, debilitating migraines once or twice a month. She said to me, Patty, she says, Gary, I haven't had a migraine this month. And I said, well, you have been taking the C60 every day, right? Because I literally, every morning I take it. I make sure she takes it, so we're on the same wavelength. And now she's taking it religiously. She did her own homework too. She went and investigated herself. But I said, honey, remember I told you about the migraine thing? Remember? And she's like, oh yeah. And it was again like another like light bulb went off, and she realized that 1 and 2 were lining up. So that's just another really cool thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure it all has to do with this, stress mitochondria.
It's those testimonials that are exactly why we're working on doing a migraine study, because it's just so well. One, migraines are so debilitating, and the results are so profound that we have to do that study, right? So we can't make any claims about about migraines yet. That's the purpose of doing this study.
Right.
But we're really excited about it. They this is how science works, right? Like, part of us is trained, hey, if it's an anecdote, you should absolutely ignore it. But the reality is the scientific process starts with anecdotes, right? We don't start a migraine study until we have people, and enough people in this case, sharing with us their experiences and the positive nature of those experiences. And then as a scientist, we're like, hey, I have a theory. This is good for migraines. Let's do a study so we can confirm that theory.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Now, I know we have to talk about this study because you got the rats. They went from a 32-month median lifespan to approximately 62 months. That's a 90% extension. The olive oil group reached 38 months. So what does this kind of result mean in longevity research? I mean, for humans?
Yeah, well, I describe it as the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in peer-reviewed published history, and very proud to share that our lab provided the material and our lab is mentioned in that original study.
Wow.
And so, yeah, now we can jump in if you want into kind of 3 key aspects of that study.
Look at this. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening.
And this is just a brief overview. There's a lifespan extension. Again, 90% extension of life in Wistar rats. Remember, they're rats, they're not humans, so we're not making any claims there. It's just a profound result. Tumor-free. So even though the rats lived 90% longer, there were no tumors. We'll talk about that. And then there is this additional kind of carbon tetrachloride challenge experiment that we'll talk about also, which had phenomenal results.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to know, like, they chose rats. Why? Like, what's the significance in that specific species when there's other mammals as well? Like mice are often and rats are often used in a lot of different studies, and just curious as to the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, so you don't move onto a human trial until you've done trials on rats. That's just the reality. And it's actually preferred to do trials on rats over mice because we're more genetically similar to rats than we are to mice. In fact, this is, we have a crazy inability to interpret, genetic material. It's actually true. You would think that rats are closer to mice genetically than either one of them is close to us. The reality is we're closer to rats than rats are to mice, right? Your intuition is like, well, a rat is just a big mouse. No, it's genetically different enough that the rat is closer to us. And so by doing the test on the rats, you're kind of proving efficacy in the direction of humans. Not everything that applies to rats applies to humans, but there's a reason that all tests are done in rats first.
No way. That's bizarre.
It has something to do with DC, I think.
Of course it does.
Oops.
Those rats are fleeing the ship right now. That's for sure. After those files came out, we could talk about that later. But Patty, it's good to see you, Patty. I haven't even said we're talking to Chris. We got the slides up. Patty, how have you been? What's going on?
Great. He does the science. I do the jokes. We're
it's a great team.
I love it. Okay, so we got the next slide. Unexpected longevity effects of ESS60 in toxicity.
Yeah, It's important to note, right? This was a toxicity study. They were convinced for various reasons that this ESS60 molecule would be toxic, and so they put it in this toxicity study. And there were three groups of rats. One group of rats was given all water, that's the control group. One was given olive oil, that's the semi-control group, and then one was given olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. And all of the water rats were dead by 32 months. Well, on an average of 32 months, because that's when Wistar rats typically die. And we'll talk about the tumor part here in a little bit. Those rats given olive oil actually lived an extra 6 months on average. So I kind of recommend, hey, if you're drinking some olive oil, you should probably add more olive oil because it is good and healthy for you. But nothing compared to, hey, those rats given olive oil with ESS60 lived out to 62 months. Like, just a fantastic result. And I love to give credit to the researchers in that study out of Paris, the Baati study. I give credit to them because if anything about a study was ever true, when all of the control rats, right, the rats given water, are dead, and all of the ESS60 rats are alive, you know it's not toxic, right? Your toxicity study is now over at month 32 because you know it's not toxic. And I love to give kudos to them because they did an extra 2.5 years of animal husbandry. Right? These rats aren't dying, so they're just doing animal husbandry on them out to 62 months. And some people ask, like, how were these rats, what kind of shape were they in? And I like to joke, there was no notation in the original study that these rats were walking around with little rat walkers and little rat oxygen tanks, right? Like, they lived healthy rat lives until the very end. And that is, the longest longevity study on mammals in history.
Okay, so I think I'm 48 now, and I've been taking this for probably, I think, maybe 6 months. So, like, am I going to live to be like 150?
Well, Wistar rats have a particular genetic mutation, and we'll talk about that in the tumor section, right? So, do I think we're going to double lifespan of humans because of this? I don't think. I think we're going to extend it. That's my thoughts, and I think we can actually even extend it significantly. Again, no proof to this. By the way, we will never do a human longevity study. Because if the average human lives 90% longer, the average human will live to 152. Like, how do you do that study? By the way,
yeah.
If you hear that number 152, you're like, oh, the oldest human. No, that's the average human. There's a bell curve around 152. So people will live much longer if the average human lives.
So we're talking like Methuselah?
Yeah.
Like 900 years old?
If you just go with the 90%, I personally believe that, like, the advances in medical science are going to dramatically extend our lives and certainly maybe bring them in line with what's, available in the Bible. But at this point, like, with what we're dealing with here, again, if this were to extend your life by 90%, the average human would be 152.
It's amazing.
I think that there's one more element for me, and the words unexpected longevity effects of ESS60. It's not just about longer life, but I think for myself personally, it's about saving people from almost dying.
Mhm.
This molecule rescued me, and that's why Chris and I are partners. I had just come off of surviving uranium poisoning, which was the third time a person of male character tried to take me out intentionally. And I didn't realize when I was in the UFO field making crop circle movies, winning a lot of awards, that I was dealing with deep state. I had no idea. I was totally green. I thought it was, oh, look at these beautiful crop circles. Oh, wow, look at the real science. And then I just got pelted with darkness. And I didn't get it, but I got whacked. And when I got hit with uranium and almost lost my life, Chris and I were talking on the phone, and I was like, what is this that you're doing? Because it saved me. Like, I was really out of it, and the product brought me back. So when I look at longevity results, it's not just about living longer, but saving friggin' lives. And what we went through in the last 5 years with now we know Fauci and Gates like buddies, and Epstein buddies, and they brought us that groovy fluvy.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of people. Somebody passed away last night and had to cancel an appointment with me. I mean, we're going to see a lot more, but for people that need help now, preventative daily Evo, like
Yeah.
this saved me. So I'm different than Chris. He's all science. I'm all testimonial. May I brag? My mother's 97. I got a photo. Well, she'll be 97 in May. She's only 96, but she takes this every day. And yesterday I got a photo of her at a restaurant rolling her eyes over a burger. Like, she's unbelievably enduring. I'm so proud of her. And I'm probably going to go out there for her birthday, but I'm looking close at the photo. I made it bigger. I'm like, dang, your skin's as good as mine. And I'm only 72. She does this, which
You
I
what?
do.
You don't. You're.
And her
You're.
skin
You
is
don't
like,
look like you're 72.
thank you. Well, I'm really proud of, the enduring qualities. So I want to say it's not about length, it's also about quality of life daily and saving people that are in
So you
trouble.
bring up the skin thing because this is what I've been putting on my skin on the regular, and this is another one of your products. This is the Youth Renew, and the cream and the rose activator. I put this on my face, and I go by my wife, and she's like, "Ooh, you smell very nice," And or other times I'll put on the other one here. This is the advanced facial serum, and this stuff works, man. I love the way it makes my like before I go out. Like if I'm gonna go out for dinner with friends, I'll put some on. It just makes my face look like I'm glowing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you smell good, it's
Yeah.
softening.
Yeah.
The scent is rosemary. And again, the one thing about Chris and I working together, the science is solid, and the elements of aromatherapy are definitely included in all of our products. I
Well,
think
then,
he's,
well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you
yeah,
got the lip balm too, and I'm sitting here, and my lips are like getting dry. I'm like, well, I've got the lip balm right here. Let's just put some on. And I'm not a big lip balm guy, but my son he was it's winter time, and he's getting chapped lips, and I couldn't find. I mean, they were running out the door for school, right? And then you got seconds to spare, and she's like, "Where's the lip balm?" I'm like, "What's in the studio?" I'm like, "Just put put the C60 olive oil on his lips." It's like, you got it right here. She just took a little bit, dabbed it, put it on his lips, and he felt better. It's like the stuff you guys make is amazing, and it's the healing properties are just profound.
it's why it took the Nobel Prize in
Yeah.
chemistry in 1996. It was like the best in every application tested. What they were ever thinking it would be applying to our face. And that's how this facial serum was born, was that I was like, oh, clean my spoon, wipe it off, put it on my skin, around the lip of the bottle when I do my spoonful, put that on my face, and all of a sudden my 50,000 miles riding a Harley with no windshield, I started softening. And so I called the guys at the lab. I said, let's do some facial serums. And they were like, yeah, we're a bunch of guys. No, thank you.
Yay.
Next thing I know, they're all wearing it. They all look 10 years younger. And, I think that none of our products are for one or the other, male or female, or anything in between anymore. The products everybody uses everything. So, they're non genderfied, amazing,
They're gender neutral.
gender neutral. I guess that's our new thing. I'm so
Oh,
1926 or 2026. Oh my God. Yeah, that's my mom's birthday or something.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness, Patty,
Well,
you're killing me.
yeah, I mean, I was born this way. I can't undo it. It's like people say, is your hair really curly? It's like, yeah, fake that, My
Well,
dad
my
called
wife's
me
got
noodle
wild
hair.
curly hair too, and she doesn't straighten it.
So
Um,
hair, oh my God,
yeah,
are you growing your hair with the Evo? Nails, hair? It's like everything is,
yeah. No, I've actually noticed my nails getting longer, and I'm a horrible nail biter too, so I noticed that.
ooh,
Anyway,
yummy.
yeah, yeah. My mother had the same problem. Anyway, I want to talk about
Getting to
speaking
know
of
you.
nail biting and things like that. Tumors are nail biters, and
Mm.
you have a study regarding this is your second breakthrough No detectable tumors. How does that work, Chris?
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. We'll talk about the result, and then we can talk about potentially what's going on here. So the same collection of rats, a typical Wistar rat, is prone to tumors, and the longer it lives, the more tumors. You can see that's the tumor mass in the rat. It continues to grow as the rat lives longer. Even though the C60 Evo rats lived out to 62 months, none of them had any tumors, right? So they should have had some tumor mark like way up over here. In fact, they had no tumors, which is, of course, a fantastic result. Now, I've told this story, and people have said, oh, cure for cancer. And I've said, no. And then I follow that with another no. There's a big difference between dealing with a cancer that has metastasized and being what's called a cancer preventative. And we know things as simple as good nutrition, good exercise, good sleep can be cancer preventatives. This piece of the study suggests that the ESS60 molecule dissolved in olive oil can be a cancer preventative. I do like to add, and I should add a slide to this, where there is one study. It's a Petri dish study, and in this Petri dish study, and just remember, Petri dish studies are kind of the lowest level of studies. They're below anecdotes, but this one is really profound and I think important, where they had cancer cells and healthy cells in a Petri dish. They introduced an anti-cancer agent, which is a poison, right? You're trying to poison the cancer cells before the healthy cells. In the presence of the ESS60 molecule, there was increased efficacy against the cancer cells and protective effects for the healthy cells. So in the presence of ESS60, more cancer cells died, less healthy cells died. And you might ask, well, what's driving this? Well, we already covered back here this impact in the mitochondria.
Yep, that's where my brain exactly went. I'm like, it's got to be back to the mitochondria.
Yep. Because cancer cells use different energy sources. Their mitochondria is functioning at a fundamentally. Now, we don't know the nuance, and I can't say, oh, it's because of X, Y, Z. But when you're having this positive impact in the mitochondria, and the fact that healthy cells and cancer cells use their mitochondria differently, now we have a potential explanation of what's going on and why these rats, didn't have cancer, even though they lived 90% longer.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So you have another breakthrough as well. Carbon tetrachloride. This is the liver toxin.
Yes.
Something happened when the ESS60 was introduced. Can you go into it, please?
Yeah. So what you can see in the slide, again, the same three groups, different set of rats, but the same three groups. So one set of rats given water, one given olive oil as a semi-control group, and then one given olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. And what they did is they injected them with carbon tetrachloride. This is an oxidative agent that attacks the liver. The rats were given 24 hours, and then they were euthanized, and they dissected the livers. And these are representations, and they actually match the slides pretty well.
Rats. Those poor rats. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's pretty fantastic. So these rats, the rats given water after that 24-hour period, as would be predicted, did not show any recovery from that carbon tetrachloride. The rats given olive oil, right, that semi-control group, you can see this looks better, it looks healthier. And then the rats given ESS60 with olive oil almost fully recovered, which is, again, fantastic. Now, we can't talk about hangovers because of where the FDA sits with hangovers, which is an interesting discussion.
Really?
And if you're having this positive impact on livers, you can imagine what benefits you might get. And by the way, I'm going to throw out our disclaimer, right? We've talked about a couple of things here that are on the edge. And let's be very clear, the FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. We're really just kind of sharing the results and why we think we're getting such amazing testimonials.
Okay, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate the disclaimer, but you had me at hangover. Okay, because I am known to enjoy or maybe over enjoy some bourbon now and again, and usually the following day is not always the best day. But I can honestly say I haven't had any alcohol for probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now. I've really been just when I drink alcohol, I make some pretty bad decisions. Okay, and it usually includes Uber Eats at very late hours of the evening, which then contribute to, just all kinds of things. So sluggishness and weight gain, and and then the hangover, the next day from all the salty Taco Bell, all that stuff. Anyway,
So
but
Evo the night before will really help.
well, that's
I never encourage Evo at night, but if you know you had a great time and you can barely find your way to your bed, find your way to your spoon, take a sip, or just hit the bottle and try not, if it hits your face, just rub it in. But yeah, it'll really help.
I've been kind of worried because I do have there's a gala that's coming up at the end of the month, and we're going to be with friends, and everyone's going to be dressed to the nines, black tie, and I know there's going to be alcohol involved, and I'm sort of dreading that reality. I know I can push it off. I know I have the willpower to, just drink, soda water all night, but it's not like I've quit drinking, okay? I just have stopped. I'm not a quitter. I'm just going to put it that way. I'm not a quitter. But now that I know this little secret, I feel a lot better about that gala.
It's a good one.
My recommendation would be, so if I know I'm going to have a late night, we'll call it a late night, right? Okay. If I know I'm going to have a late night, I'll probably have an extra teaspoon before I go out. I'll take a small bottle with me, and have a nip in the middle of the evening, and then one when I get home, and then the same one that I would do in the morning. And frankly, any one of those can do a pretty good job. We've had people who suffered in the morning and taken the product, and a couple hours later feel pretty great. I will share, if you're not getting sleep, which tends to happen, right? You're tired, but so many of the other things that just suck are not there.
Wow. I just learned a secret.
By the way, we are not encouraging over imbibing. Let's just be very clear about this. We don't need anybody. We don't want anybody testing this theory.
I know. Hey, maybe I'll test it.
While we're having fun, I'm going to give you one more secret.
I want to hear it.
Chris Travolta was on the dance floor by himself, rocking the entire floor when he met his wife. She saw him over there, dead center, just Chris doing Travolta, and that's how they met, fell in love. I'm sorry, I just was moved to do that Drink Your Evo mid-evening story.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, heavy dancer. You'd never guess, maybe in the lab coat and the goggles, but
no, I bet you he's got some moves. I can see it.
And I got to tell you, my new hips are back. I got some moves. I'm going to bring them home.
Let's go. Go. Okay. Speaking of our next slide here, ESR tests inflammatory age, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. I don't know what that means. Chris, you're the scientist here, so
I'll break it down. And these are the 3 tests, and we're just going to go over these they're really biological age tests, right? And I took these tests. The first one is ESR, as you mentioned, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. Basically, you take a drop of blood, you put it in a capillary tube, you hold it vertically, and the rate at which your plasma separates from your blood cells is an indication of your inflammatory status, right?
Really?
Higher sedimentation, so if it separates faster, then you have higher inflammation. When I took this test, it had a biological component, and it had me at 20 plus years younger than my chronological age. So I was pretty happy with this result. I don't know if you have any questions here.
Well, yeah, but Chris, how long have you been taking this stuff?
So I started taking it probably latter part of 2017, beginning of 2018.
Wow.
So 8 years.
So 8 years. And Patty, what about you?
7.
7 years.
Yeah, I met him a year later when I was poisoned and started taking it. And it was so remarkable. And then they started getting all these calls at the lab, which they were a industrial C60 lab, which is for tires, ink, batteries. They weren't selling to people. And they started getting all these calls. How much should I take? Chris and Robert at the lab were like, none. It's not for people. people, even though they had already done the toxicity test in 2012. Chris, they weren't thinking that they were going to be making supplements, because who wants to do that in a world of questionable supplements?
Mm.
But too many people kept calling, and it was because I was Patty Greer on the air promoting my movies and surviving ridiculous things that were done to me. And I'm going, I don't know how I'm still here, but wow. And then Chris and I started talking on the phone. And within an hour, I said, partnership, NDA, they flew me out. And it's been really fun, because they would have been selling oil, period. They would have never done all the
Just for like the commercial application of it. And then you guys started getting the phone calls, people learning about how to use it, and then you turned it into something that is consumable, which is the product that we have now. Of course, I have an empty bottle here, but my big bottle's on my nightstand, as you know. This is just fascinating stuff. So you guys, okay, 7 and 8 years. I'm, maybe 5 or 6 months into this. I don't want to stop taking it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm wrapping my head around this age thing. So it's your biological marker, Chris, said you're 20 years younger than you actually are.
Yes, than my chronological age. And actually, this test is a little bit better. This one showed me to be 34 years younger biologically than my chronological age.
How is that even possible?
Yeah. Well, so GlycanAge is the test, right? It's available. It's a commercially available test. It looks at glycans. These are kind of sugar molecules and how they attach to molecules in your blood. And they tend to have a pattern as you get older. They go one particular direction. I'm going downwards because that's how things seem to go mostly. And it ultimately is an inflammation marker, right? Again, an indicator of inflammatory status. In this test, at the time I took it, it had me 34 years younger than my chronological age, which was 21 biologically. I like to joke, if you're younger than 21 biologically, can you still drink? We've been talking about that.
That's funny. Well, I do have to ask you, because I'm in my mind, I see like you sitting with your annual physical doctor, and she pulls out a chart and she goes, what the hell? Your chart says you're 21 years younger than you should be. But obviously that's probably not how it went. The doctor delivering you the news. How did you do the study? I mean, you're a scientist. You're probably like, hey, I'm going to do a study on myself. I don't know. How does it work? How did you do the study? How did you find the results?
Yeah, so these are commercially available. I happened to be at a conference and they had a booth, and I was like, I'll do that, right? So I gave a couple drops of blood, from a finger prick, and then they delivered those results to me. But I will share with this.
Well, what did they say? What did they say when they
delivered
shocked?
The results? They're like, yeah, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Okay. Like whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working. And again, this is looking at the kind of inflammatory status, right? We can't make any claims about inflammation.
Well, wait, hang on. I know, but did you at least go, hey, here's the secret sauce, pal? I got it right here. I mean, you must have told them what you were doing.
Yeah, there are people at GlycanAge who understand, what we're doing. We've got to get more people to go through that process so they understand the value of it even more. And you were saying, hey, did my general care practitioner pull me aside? I'll tell you this: the last time that I saw my general practitioner, they have like 15 minutes with you, so they have no time. She's looking at
and you wait an hour for them.
Yes. And so she's looking through the charts, and at one point she goes, "Oh, wow, you're not on any medications." And I'm like, if I'm 56, am I supposed to be on I guess I'm supposed to be 56? On medication.
You're 56?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every time you guys tell me your age, I'm like, come on. That's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Now, this is the fun one, right? This is really interesting.
Okay.
This test is DNAge, right? You can, again, it's commercially available. I took this test when I was 51, and it had me at a biological age of 59. Ooh. And I was not happy, right? You can imagine like somebody telling you you're older internally than you actually are chronologically. But 3 years later, when I was 54, I took the test again and it had me at 58. So I still don't like that it's older, but I like the direction it's going,
You
right?
know, I have an app on my phone that I weigh myself with, and it sends it's a Weight Gurus app, and it does BMI, body fat, muscle mass, body water, heart rate, bone mass, visceral fat, subcutaneous protein, skeletal muscles, and BMR and metabolic age. Here on this app, now of course this is, you know, by sending electrical impulses through your body for some kind of resonance frequency connection.
Yeah.
It says I'm 50 years old.
Check it in 6 months.
Yeah. But I mean, I'd love to find out what, you know, taking some of these tests. So you can go to any one of their websites, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, GlycanAge, DNAge, and then the other one is at Core Health. I think I had it at Core Health.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fascinating technology, and brand new. And then the other twos, and you know, you have to be really careful with these biological age tests, right? Because they're really kind of grouping. They're like, hey, the typical person who is 50 looks like this, and if you're 60 and you look like that, that's probably good. But let's just say everyone died at 80. If your biological age was 50, it doesn't mean that you have another 30 years, right? Like it's just giving you, are the things that you're doing good for your biological age? Are they good for your overall health? That's what these studies are looking at.
It's amazing. It's amazing seeing all these, you know, different biological age tests, of course. ESR tests showing the biological age measured 20 years younger, your glycan test, 21, the DNA test, all of it. It's just amazing to see how this works. So I want to talk about Patty because people who are watching right now, they're going to want to try ESS60. You've mapped out a 3-month journey based on user experiences. So what are people commonly reporting in month 1?
Chris, do you want to pull up that chart? We actually have a chart of it that lays
okay.
out. Yeah, we got one more answer to that, which
Okay.
is right here. Yeah. So we do suggest 3 months because we want to saturate the system, and everybody's got a different level of toxicity. You know, Chris describes it as clearing the mitochondria. I describe it as detoxing because I think more simply than scientifically. But in the first month, you're going to notice in the first probably hour that you've got a lot more energy and mental focus. And that is immediately noticeable unless you're completely unconscious, like a lot of people that are in the world today. You know, they're like, oh, I didn't really notice anything, but most people notice the energy. I always hear that. And people start to say, oh my God, I'm starting to remember things again. And those are two really good things to note. In month 2, we start to relax the body more and move into a more detox condition, and we have deeper sleep. And the rhythm is improved, and the length of time before you wake up is everything is just more calm in your system because you're less toxic than you were previously. And by the time you get to the 3rd month, you have more endurance and vitality to do everything. And ultimately, people notice that when they've got more energy, they're going to lose weight or they're going to get their bodies moving again. And I know my mom used to always say, a body in motion stays in motion. And when I was wounded, I was in my chair really a lot. My first wounding was a directed energy weapon. Talk about not easy. Yeah, I've been through the ringer. But the fact that I'm here every day, I knock on wood, I kiss my bottle, because it's not about living to be 150 for me. It's about waking up every day going, I win. I'm still here. And I think a lot of people that went through the flu thing or got the needle in the arm are going to be needing to boost their immunity and their endurance and their longevity that was maybe prescribed or predicted by these things in the arm to
Ugh.
lessen the endurance of their life.
Patty, I think we can safely say those were not prescriptions. Those were called mandates. And I feel really bad for a lot of those people who did not push back. Let's just put it that way. And if you are one of those people that did push back, God bless you, because you lived through one of the greatest psychological warfare moments in world history, and you survived. And for the people that didn't have a choice or succumbed, there are things you can do, and it sounds like this just adds to that regimen of people who are trying to find a solution. If they had to partake in those mandates, God, man, I don't even.
Yeah, it's
that
hard.
whole moment in history was just, it was bad. It was bad.
Well, I've heard people that I know and care about. I haven't lost personal friends, but I might be soon, because my doctor, my chiropractor, my favorite people that went with what they had to are really dealing with it. They call it a stroke or a heart attack. It's a sludge in your lines. But here we have something that, in my opinion, has cleared my lines. And when we
Beautiful.
talk about how is it that I start to think more clearly, when you've got 2 million mitochondria in every cell of the brain, and a little bit less in that pineal gland that connects us to our higher self and spirit and God and gratitude, when we start clearing our mind and our brains, we're going to be able to be more present, more forgiving, and to tell the rest of our body, heal, baby. Let's feel better. For me, I never feel guilty when I eat good chocolate, because every day counts, every day matters. And for me, it's Evo and finding something to be happy about every day. Really important medicine, great sleep at night. But I have never found anything as easy as this on a spoon before noon. My mother, 97-year-old, almost has a helper that I had no idea, dealt with migraines for years, maybe decades. She got a shot in her hip every 3 months because it was so bad.
Yeah.
She could barely function a few days a week. I gave her a sample of the Evo. Every time she writes me thank you letters,
Yeah.
she hasn't had anything up there hurting in a year.
Well, for me personally, when I see this chart here, it makes sense, because I'm probably, like I said, 6 months into this maybe, and I remember there was that one moment when I was out of the product for maybe a week or so, and I definitely noticed a difference. But the energy and focus, the deeper sleep, and the resilience and vitality, I'm all the way there. I mean, the clarity of thought, my productivity, execution, just everything all around. I'm blessed that you guys support this show. You're sharing this information with our viewers, because I want them to be blessed as well. And of course, I want people to make sure they go to c60evo.com/NNN and take advantage of it. This is for you guys. This is not just for my health. This is for you, and I want you guys to experience what I'm experiencing. Okay, I don't do these stories and testimonials lightly, but C60 Evo has been with us and supporting this show, and I want them to support you too in your health journey, and that's why you have to go to the website c60evo.com/NNN. Guys, so we've got this. Chris, you've been manufacturing this, I know, since '91, and you got this is 5 years before that Nobel Prize. So tell me about the manufacturing process, really. Like, what makes it different from some of the knockoffs? Because I actually did. Because I remember, Patty, you were telling me about some of the knockoff products that come from probably like Wuhan or something, and and I'm like, and I'm looking at them, and I see all the products lined up, and I'm like, these look suspect. They just look suspect, and I know what I'm taking. So break it down.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's and this is your landing page, right? So
Yes.
c60evo.com/NNN. First off, just real quick on the molecule, because we can do a whole episode. I think we may have done a whole episode on like what this process looks like. You're vaporizing graphite rods, right? That requires temperatures of the sun. You're doing it in a vacuum chamber. You're doing it in the absence of oxygen, right? This is challenging. You're taking that and you're purifying it, because 90% of what you get from that process is garbage. So you got to get rid of the garbage and get that 10%. Only 80% of that 10% is the molecule that we're looking for, the one that will eventually come ESS60. And then you take it to ESS60 and you're like, not done yet. Now you take it and you mix it in olive oil for 3 weeks. Literally, if Patty and I were like, hey, we should start a business and we should sell a supplement, we would probably not choose this supplement given how hard it is to make. Mix it for 3 weeks, and then finally you're bottling it, labeling it, shipping it, providing customer service. Our customer service team is amazing. They have 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. That's the real kind of fast version of how we manufacture this molecule.
It's amazing. Now, I want to go back to Patty, because last time you were here, you told us about the plasma connection.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And Chris kind of just gave us a little preview. And folks, if you want to really you want to dive deep, go back to the last interview, because the last interview, we go inside the lab, we check out all the stuff, he explains it all, and then there's the connection to the whole crop circle research. So how does that original discovery connect to what we're seeing in the biological age test results?
Well, your show was the first time I ever heard Chris describe the actual movement inside the reactor. I never knew that the actual science was taking these graphite rods and burning them, vaporizing at the heat of the sun, going slowly toward each other as they vaporize. But I never knew until Chris said it on your show that they were counter-rotating spin. What? Wait a minute. Counter-rotating spin while they're vaporizing? And I realized that's the same technology that I finally got to in crop circles, spacecraft technology, but also free energy and 0 point, which is counter-rotating vortices of spinning plasma fields. So who knew that spacecrafts, crop circles, and ESS60 manufacturing at the heat of the sun are all spinning plasma fields counterclockwise. And so when I was learning all this about the plasma fields counter-rotating spin, I learned that that's how you make perfect the intention that you have. But if you spin it in one direction with intention, you can create matter, which is what they're doing with intentional 3D printing. But they can also, unfortunately, reverse the plasma spin with intention, and they can create destroying matter, such as directed energy weapons.
Wow.
So we've got this technology that needs to be in good hands. And fortunately, we're moving in the direction of everything being put in better hands, in my opinion. I have total faith in the evolution, but I also have a C60 Evo brain. I can watch news all day, all night, like a complete noodle, and I don't like fall apart. My friends are like, where do you put it?
Yeah.
I'm like, everything moves through me.
Yeah.
And I think
I know, because I'm consuming news 24 hours a day.
Oh my God, I can't get enough. And if I do get up in the middle of the night, I drink a little sleep tea and I'll watch a little more news. And I honor that.
You watch a little more next news, I think is what you
Of
meant
course,
to say.
I am hooked. I don't miss any of your shows. And you bang up on your thumbnails. How could I not look? But your titles are like, oh my God, that did not happen. Gary, and I hit it. It's like it did happen. So this is fun. This chapter of history is fun, but a lot of people that I know around me are super scared because they're not sitting with a clear mind. And
well, they're not prepared, Patty. I mean, clearly, like, you don't have to live in fear. As long as you have the knowledge and the tools, you can navigate anything. And this is part of the toolkit right here. Okay, having a news program, like the Next News Network, presenting on the raw feed, like that's a tool, that's an educational platform, and once you really understand it all, you can navigate anything the deep state tries to throw at us, and that's why we're winning right now.
Oh yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing, and I want to ask you, Patty, because people who are watching right now, you showed us the 3-month journey with ESS 60. How do they get started, and what should they know?
Okay, well, go to the website, c60evo.com/NNN for Next News Network. And right on top, you can see our top 2 sellers. We're up there on the very top next to Gary. Our olive oil, of course, used in all the peer-reviewed studies that we've been involved in, which is most of them. And the other one is the one that's changing our skin on our faces in combination with the oil, which is the Advanced Facial Serum. 21 organic, incredible, delicious products that make up the skin serum, but it comes in this beautiful box, a beautiful presentation. I think this is like the coolest gift for Valentine's Day is the starter set. The oil and the facial serum, we do it in 4-ounce and 8-ounce. And what we're showing is you can get specials of 6 because a lot of times people, they're going to do it for their 3-month trial, but then you're going to be so impressed that you want to maybe give it to people you care about or be stocked up, in your cabinet. Everything will last 2 to 3 years as long as you keep it out of a window or away from direct heat like a stove. And you don't open them and let them sit.
Well, you do. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you do mention the packaging, and I should just point out that I do really. And when you guys send me the stuff, I always give the box to my wife, and I say, "Honey," and it's like it really is packaged beautifully. It definitely has I get supplements all the time from whether I'm ordering it or something, but it always just feels like a sterilized supplement. But what you guys are distributing, and what it's not just like the longevity, it's not just the mitochondria stuff, but I mean, you guys take great care in the presentation, and it really has a luxury appeal. And I think that really takes it to the next level, which makes these things perfect for gifting. I mean, ready to go out the box. So you're gifting health, you're gifting a luxurious item. So you guys really thought through all the different levels here, and my hat's off. But I think the most important thing to note is the health benefits that I'm having, that my wife Angie's having, my kids are having. So I thank you guys so much.
Well, we love working with you, and your audience, is all over the world, and we ship everywhere. A lot of people are like, "Do you ship to my country?" We ship to Guernsey, which is the Isle of England. I mean, last week was Micronesia. I'm like, where is that?
Yeah.
We're shipping all over. We're open 5 days a week. Our customer service is incredible. And here's a funny story. So the guys at the lab, when I said, my skin is so smooth, you got to start making face serums. Okay, so they fought me at first, and then they came, I did this beautiful formula, but they came up with the box. I'm sorry, a sliding beautiful box. The men ordered it. It says revive, replenish, rejuvenate. But then they one upped it a year later because they were all using the serum. And
so the scientist guys came up with the packaging?
They did.
Wow.
Or, I don't know, maybe it was our office. It came from Texas. That's all I know. I didn't design the box other than the words revive, replenish, rejuvenate. It's really beautiful. And when I got it from the guys, lavender, I'm like, I am wearing off on them, and they are wearing off on me. But then Chris,
you guys are wearing off on me,
awesome,
and my family, and
well,
I am blessed.
In a great way. We're all getting better, younger, stronger. But this is my funniest thing. Chris calls a year later and he goes, I hope you don't get mad. And I'm like, I've never heard him say that. What? And he goes, well, the guys and I were experimenting at the lab with this peptide. Now, that's a word I'd never heard in our mixing. And he goes, yeah, UTH29 has got 30 years of research, and it's incredible for skin and hair. Next thing I know, they made a 2-part. Well, we thought a little bit about no chemicals. We didn't fight. We just said no chemicals. And so we did it in 2 bottles, oil and lotion. And we had to keep them separate so that we didn't have to use emulsifiers and icky things.
Okay,
And
so this bottle I'm holding in my hand, this is the UTH 29.
it's a
That's
blue
this is the
blue peptide.
yeah, no, because this is the peptide bottle, and then this is the activator. So how do they work together again?
You
I just
pump-
put it on my face and I love it, but you guys
Chris loves to model, and then he takes his glasses off and he gets carded. Look at the color of the goo. It's really pretty blue.
Oh, I know, I love it. I
So
love it.
every pump that you do of the gel, which is the blue peptide, you do 2 drops of the activator oil, which smells like
Let me see.
divine
Let me see if
rose.
I can get a shot of that. Here.
Damask rose. It's so lovely.
Let's see if you can you see it. There it is in my hand.
Yeah.
Right there.
You mix it fresh in your palm, which is a fresh activation every time you put it on. And
So
you're
okay, so
going to have-
I just did 2 pumps. I did 2 pumps just now.
then do 4 drops.
And then okay, so 4 drops.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna do this live, I guess. All right, fine.
Well, Chris loves to model it because then he looks better when he leaves.
But
the
no,
show.
this is great stuff. I love the way it makes my skin look, and you know, I'm on camera, so I gotta look my best.
Oh yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I could do one more.
Well,
Okay.
I'm on camera a lot, and I'm older than both he is. At 72, but I have a trick, which is I take my glasses off once I find my way in so that how I look doesn't bother me at my age. But I also, when I have my glasses on, I am pretty surprised that my skin is softened like this.
Oh, I love it. No,
Yeah.
no,
This-
I'm not a big like facial cream guy either, and I love actually putting this on. I look forward to it.
Now
It
you guys are
smells so
glowing.
good.
You're going to have to go and call your wives and have a
Oh
date.
yeah, I'm gonna go give her a kiss after this interview, and she's
Mm.
gonna be like, "Hey, you smell so good. I love it."
And you tell her that you raved about her no more
Oh
headache.
yes,
That's
yes. She
awesome.
will. She will definitely. She'll know. She'll know.
Oh yeah. Well, before the show, you wrote me like half a dozen things, and the only thing I wrote back was "best news ever,"
Yeah,
and she doesn't have those
yeah.
headaches.
No, they're
I don't say
debilitating.
that word. I just say headaches.
Well, I mean, she would have to wrap like a sock around her head and just put like pressure on her brain because it was so bad, and she'd just lay in bed for hours. It was horrible. I mean, there's nothing you could do.
Hopefully.
You know.
What do you mean? There's nothing.
Well, no, I mean like when
Better.
before she was taking this stuff every day. You
But what
know.
a blessing that maybe we found a solution for a lot of things. Imagine, I do have a tool belt, and sometimes I just take my hammer out and my screwdrivers, and I just take my tools now, which is this and this. I'm ready to go. That's in my tool belt now, and my face serum.
Well, Chris
So-
and Patty, I want to thank you guys for bringing the data. Patriots, and we'll have you guys back on. We'll talk about some more. I want to hear more about the migraine study when you guys get some more details. And it's just always a pleasure having you guys on.
Gary, thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Keep anti-aging.
I am. I'm aging in reverse.
You are.
All right. So, Patriots, let me just tell you what you've heard. Okay. A peer-reviewed study published on Biomaterials, a toxicity test that accidentally produced 3 of the most extraordinary results in longevity science. 90% longer lifespan, 0 tumors, complete tissue protection against a known toxin. And then Chris showed us his own biological age test. GlycanAge came back 21 years younger, 34 years younger than his actual age. And the DNA age epigenetic clock showed measurable reversal. So this is the Nobel Prize science from 1996 being manufactured from the same team since 91 in their Texas facility. Go back, look at the last interview we did. You could see the whole setup. It's amazing. And their boss theory, you just saw it, explains how it works at the cellular level. Month 1, energy. Month 2, sleep. Month 3, vitality. I'm a living, breathing testimonial. So if you want to start your own journey, you see that link on the screen. You see it underneath this video. Hit it and take advantage of it today, and do not delay.